I want to get to our last guest of the day. Very, very excited to talk to this man. Never talked to him before, but he has made some waves, some headlines very recently. You may have heard, if you're in these circles, if you're paying attention, especially to the sport of boxing, that there's a new outfit called IVB, ivisit Boxing. And you may have heard late last week that they announced plans that on July 11th of this year in San Francisco, California, they will be holding an event in which they anticipate and hope that they will break the boxing attendance record, not just here in America, but around the world. They are hoping to draw approximately 140,000 people. The record is one that is about 80 years old, a fight that transpired back in Milwaukee, 135 or so thousand. And they've got big plans, some lofty plans, and I'm curious to learn more about it. And so here to talk to us about it more is the CEO of ivisit Boxing and ivisit Media, Ed Pereira, is here to talk about these massive, massive plans. Ed is here. Hello, Ed. How are you? Great to meet you.
Really good to meet you, Ariel. And yeah, Scrooge McDuck, what a brilliant show. I used to watch it when I was a kid.
Yes.
You were right.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Legendary. Great to have you on. Like I said, I've been very much looking forward to this chat because I have a lot of questions about the stuff that you are anticipating and planning and hoping to do this year and beyond. And so first, can I ask, ivisit Boxing, IVB, how old is IVB? I'll be honest, just kind of hearing about it for the first time over the last few days. And how did this all come about? Because you've been in the world of marketing and you've been the CEO of ivisit Media. You've been involved in big events, but to specifically zero in on boxing, how old is this venture for you?
Very fresh. So I'm not a promoter. I'm a marketing guy. I've been working in marketing for over 28 years, sports marketing to be precise. So IVB is very fresh out of the box, as I like to say. This is going to be our first series of events.
Why are you doing this?
So for those of people in the know, we have been behind the scenes pretty much over the last couple of years, working in boxing, doing some of the most notably Times Square, the Times Square takeover. We were the guys behind it. We did all the logistics, the setup, etc. Just after that show, we started to get lots of phone calls from quite a few cities actually around the US saying, look, we'd love to do the same thing with you guys. And we were in San Francisco, spoke to the great mayor there or his team about 6-7 months ago, and then started working with the guys in San Francisco to put together and to go through all the permitting process to put together this huge card. So so it's been about a year. It's been about 8 months in the making.
Okay.
And we needed to give it a name, so we were ivisit Media. So it made sense to call it ivisit Boxing.
So obviously we know about this Times Square event. I was actually there in attendance, and that was a ring card, and it was headed up by Turki Al-Sheikh and the whole team over there, emanating from Saudi Arabia. When you say that you were involved with that, in what capacity? You obviously worked with him because it was his event, but in what capacity were you involved in that?
So we did all the logistics. So we were the permit holders. Okay. So we did all the logistics. We got the permits, all of the 40-odd permits. We actually built the whole event out. So actually built the stage, everything. So we did all the nuts and bolts, as I like to say.
And so what is the state of your relationship now with Turki and Company? My understanding is this event, the one that you're talking about, and even the IVB venture has nothing to do with them. Why haven't you continued to work with them post this Times Square event?
Correct. It's got nothing to do with them, but we had a really good relationship. Great run, particularly with the guys at Seller. That's who we're working with over the course of 18 months, 24 months. Really good relationship with those guys. And what I've got to say about His Excellency is he did amazing things. He's done amazing things and will continue to do amazing things for boxing. It was great to be part of that team and working with that team, and maybe in the future we'll work again. This round of events, though, it's all us.
Could I ask, though, why aren't you continuing?
I think we had a chat about this. We said to them, look, it'd be great to work with you. Just didn't work out on that particular front. Maybe ones in the future do. These ones didn't. So still looking forward to doing this one on my own. I think it's going to be a big challenge, right?
The Times Square event, was that the first one that you had been a part of regarding boxing?
No, we'd helped with marketing. So we were brought in to help with marketing. The first one we were involved in was Fuel Music One. We did the marketing out of the UK, so or the advertising side, and we were involved with the LA Crawford Madrimov as well, and AJ Dubois at Wembley, mainly in the marketing, on the ground marketing, and the activation side.
Okay. Regarding Times Square, how would you view that event? Because as you know, a lot of hype surrounding it, and in the aftermath, there were people critical of it. It wasn't quite what we thought it was going to be. How would you view it?
Absolutely. I think, look, I'm proud of the work we did, but I'm also critical. I think there was a couple. There's the side that you can't control. The sporting side, the boxing side, I don't think really worked out the way that anybody wanted that to. We can't control that. The side that we could control, I have to be critical on the fact that, the vision for me when I was working alongside the city was for it to be an open event so that people could see into the ring. And we had a lot of people turn up to that fight. We had to shut, as you were there, from 41st up to 47th. And it was logistically big. But I think if I'm critical, the fence that went around it, that was not great. That's where I think we failed, I think is fair to say. But I think ultimately, when talking to the city of San Francisco with regards to this event, that's where the key thing was. It's got to be open. It's got to be clear. The people have got to be a part of the event. It can't be fenced in, that's for sure. And I think I have to be critical about that. That's the area where I think, it didn't work out how we would have wanted it to.
And so just so I understand, how do you go from that experience to then saying, I want to start doing these on my own and really getting into the nitty gritty of boxing and not just do events on my own, do events at this scale, trying to break records? Like, what's the part that I'm missing there between that event and now?
It's a really good question, that one. I love challenging myself. I'm a fan, first and foremost, I'm a fan, right? And I got bit by the boxing bug a long time ago, but being involved in boxing, I think it really kind of gave me, how can I say? I think it gave me that bug, but I wanted to kind of maybe in a way, I don't know, deliver what wasn't delivered in Times Square, possibly. That's probably the best way of doing it, of saying it. It was something that I felt that in San Francisco we will do, an event for the people, that the people have access to. That was the key thing. So that's really the missing link. I wanted to kind of deliver on what I felt we hadn't. Look, don't get me wrong. Together, we did a great event. I think Times Square logistically was tough, and it was a once-in-a-lifetime event. But I think that's the missing link that you're trying to get to. Okay.
And so when you're doing those events, obviously the money behind it is Sella and Turkey and his team and whatnot. Could I ask bluntly, like, who's the money behind this now? Because these are big plans that you have. So who is backing you?
I think one of the key things is that I'm a businessman. I'm an entrepreneur, and I come from 28 years of being in business. And I'm a sports marketer. When I look at it, I think the sport of boxing has been always held up by either a super rich person or a super rich corporation. The way that we're looking at it is actually building it on three key pillars. First pillar is sponsorship. One of the key things that we're looking at are bringing in corporate sponsors. We're very lucky to have been working within the soccer space and the rugby space. And a lot of our partners that we've been working with in the soccer space see a natural kind of link between soccer and boxing. The audience is the same. And the big soccer brands haven't had that link into boxing. So if you look at the sponsors that currently sponsor boxing, they're not your big blue chip companies. So for us, it's about bringing those guys into the boxing space, and they're going to do the heavy lift. The second side is through partners. For us, looking at partners when it comes to experiential zones. We're not just doing the boxing event, which is what it was at Times Square, but actually creating a fan experience village, creating a food zone and a food village where we've got local Californian food vendors coming in. So they're bringing in quite a bit of the heavy lift as well when it comes to the investment side, where you've got a fan experience village with about 20, 30 different companies all backing it and being part of it. And then thirdly, it's the YouTube. For us, having done a deal with YouTube, we're really excited about that, and it will be a pay-per-view event. The card level that we're looking to put on, it will be big, and it'll be a pay-per-view event, and the pay-per-view and the associated ticket sales as well. That's where the money's going to come in from. So I think the idea for me was always to say, look, let's bring in some values from the sporting world that are, kind of the FIFA values, where we bring in sponsors to do that those cover those costs. So that's where the funding is coming from. It's not to say it's going to be easy. Of course, it's never going to be easy. But I think I'm looking at it, two things. I'm looking at it as a fan, and I'm really excited about it. But also, I think I want it to be as open to the public and as accessible to the public. And that's essentially where the vision's coming from.
So one of the first things that you said in this chat was you're not a promoter. And so who will be the promoter of this event?
So the first thing that we had to do was obviously get the permits, and it took us quite a few months. We've been working on this project for a few months. The second thing, because when we do deals with promoters, the first thing they ask us for is who's going to be broadcasting this, was to get the broadcast deal in place. Now that we've got both, we've been talking to a few promoters, the usual suspects, as you can imagine. I've worked with quite a few of them for the last 2 years. So we're talking to them, and now it's our focus on the promoter and on the card. So we'll be making decisions of those over the next couple of weeks.
So like the likes of, let's say, Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, Frank Warren, Queensberry, on and on it goes, they put on big events. And so why would they do a deal with you? Like, why don't they just do it on their own? Why do they need you? What do you bring to the table that they can't do on their own? He just did Tottenham Hotspur twice last year, 2 massive events. I'm talking about Eddie. He does events with Turkey, with not. Usyk Dubois was without Turkey, to the best of my knowledge. I know Riyadh Season sponsored it. So my question is, why would they come to you and do any kind of deal when they could seemingly do it on their own?
That's a really good question. And it was the one that everybody asked me. Look, I think when I'm looking to put events on, they're not stadium events. The last two that I'm known for, this one and the one that's coming up, are in the open air, and they're big cultural moments. For us, the vision here is to create that cultural moment, to do something that people talk about, that gives back to the people, that gives back to the fans, that activates two key kind of groups of fans. First of all, the young fans, the 16 to 24, the 18 to 24 fans that have, in some cases, may have been left by the side by boxing. And the second is your casual fan, right? Those are the guys who have lost out, maybe, as boxing's retreated behind some paywalls and behind subscription. They may have lost touch. So the idea is to say to these promoters, listen, we're going to give you access to these huge events that are going to get you more fans. You're going to have a bigger fan base. Your boxers are going to have a bigger fan base, and you're going to be part of a boxing moment, a cultural moment. When we were talking to the mayor of San Francisco, what I was really excited about was he got up on stage on our press conference and said, this is for San Franciscans. If you look at the World Cup that's going there, if you look at the Super Bowl that's going there, these events, I don't think are going to have a lot of San Franciscans in there. They may be priced out. Tickets might be impossible to get. I know they're going to be priced out with FIFA. With us, a huge proportion of these tickets are going to be free, right? So it means that it's going to be a moment where the city can come round, and they're going to revolve around boxing. That's the beauty of this, right? They're going to revolve around a combat sport. That's amazing for the sport. That's amazing for the brand. And I think the promoters, and I've been talking to them, so I can tell you they are excited. They want to be a part of it. And ultimately, look, when you create an event that's going to have 150,000 people, 140,000 people, people are going to make money. That's the whole point. So it gives them another revenue stream. So I'm not saying that they're completely altruistic. They're going to love the idea that they're doing something for the city. They're going to love the idea that they're doing something for the sport. They're going to love the idea that they're taking their boxes, their brands further out to a greater public. But they're also going to love the fact that with people, with eyeballs, comes more money, and they're going to make more money. And I think that's kind of why they're coming to me.
So there's no scenario where you're the promoter with a promoter's license?
Look, I'm never going to say never, but at the moment, no. I think the idea for me is to work alongside other promoters. I want to be a safe haven for promoters. I want them to come up. I'm willing to pay fair money for good fights. And really, listen, I think it's difficult to say because, I'm a big boxing fan, but I don't have the experience that Eddie has. I don't have the experience that Frank Smith has. And I love working with those guys, the same as George Warren or Frank Warren or Oscar. These guys are promoters through and through. I'm not a promoter. I'm a fan with an ability to create big events, and because of that, I think it's great to be able to say to them, come on, work with us. We're here. The door's open for you. And we want to work with as many promoters. And we've just mentioned 3 of them. Listen, I want to work with as many as I can to make these big shows.
Can I ask a small favor, if I may? I'm hearing a lot of your notifications and they're startling at times. So I'm thinking of the listeners on the podcast. Is it possible to just mute maybe your device so that the notifications won't make the noise?
No problem at all. Apologies for that.
No worries. I could just see some.
They can all see me talking to you, obviously.
No, of course. Yeah. Oh, well, you never know. But yeah, just wanted to do that for our listeners. Usually, as you know, when you draw a big crowd, unless it's WWE WrestleMania, there has to be a fight attached to that. Meaning, Eddie Hearn announces Ben Eubank. Everyone's like, hey, I want to buy that. Eddie Hearn doesn't announce, hey, I'm going to go to Tottenham Hotspur. Get your tickets down. I'll tell you later about who's going to, compete. And so when you start saying 140,000, and it's very unique to hear the numbers, to hear the venue, but to not hear any fights attached to it. And so how are you planning to do that? Because as you know, here in America, boxing isn't as popular here as it is perhaps where you're from, the UK, where you can fill up a Wembley Stadium. There is no American fighter or fight that I think could draw 140 paid or not paid. Even if it's free, come one and all. Unless you're having like a Travis Scott and a Drake perform, even if it's Usyk Wilder, the fight everyone's talking about, I don't think that draws 140,000 because I don't think they are commodities that could draw that here in America. And so I'm very curious to know how you plan on getting to that number without yet a fight attached to it. And even if you get the greatest fight ever, even if you get Tyson Paul 2, I don't know what that fight is, how do you get to 140?
I think you've hit the nail on the head. There's two issues that we've got to overcome. The first issue is there is no card. And I agree with you 100%. There is no card big enough to draw 150,000 in the US. But I will say this. I think the concept is that we're creating a festival for the city that we're in, that includes music, that includes the experiential zone, that includes the boxing. The boxing is center and core of it, but it's not it's not the only draw to it. I think you mentioned some music stars in there, but I think, if you're looking at it, we like to call it like a mix between Coachella and a World Championship boxing fight. I think that's essentially what we have to do. And ultimately, as well, is about the people. It's about the fans. The fans themselves are the guys who I think that it's got to be about them, and they've got to know that they've got to turn out for the city to break that world record, and it's going to be their record as well. So I think it's about creating this festival atmosphere. It's about creating something bigger than, I use the word cultural moment, so I hate to use it again, but it's about creating a cultural moment. I was their moment, I call it. You want the fans across the whole of the Bay Area to say, look, I was there. First of all, it has to be the best card we can put together, but it has to be about other things than that. It's got to be about the music. It's got to be about the food. It's got to be about the experience. It's got to be about everything. And when you create that festival atmosphere, that's when magic happens. And I think what everybody will remember is that it was a great boxing card, but they're not just going to be going for the boxing. And I think that's important. And that's how we capture the casual fan. When you talk about the stadiums in the UK, you're absolutely right. Boxing in the UK is down to the great work done by the promoters. Is on fire. They fill stadiums left, right, and center. Unfortunately, here in the States, it's not. So we've got to kind of dig into that casual fan. We've got to get them excited about boxing. And at the end of the day, I know that the purists are going to be maybe a little bit upset with me because they're saying, look, it should always be about the boxing. But ultimately, if we can get these guys, it's 150,000 people, to come for a festival, a citywide festival, an experience, and they happen to fall in love with boxing, that's a win for the sport that we all love. You know, when people say to me, there aren't enough boxing fans anymore, you know, some people might say, and the purists might hate the fact that Jake Paul is in a ring fighting, right? But there is no denying that guy's put eyeballs on the sport. And when you look at the numbers that he's converting on Netflix, and then you look at what Netflix has done when you've got Crawford, Canelo, those numbers, those 40 million, those 100 million, those 70 odd million, all those numbers that we've seen from Netflix, that says to me people still love boxing. And those are casual fans. So we just got to activate those casual fans. But you're absolutely right. It's not going to be easy, that's for sure. It's a challenge. I love a challenge, but it's going to be tough.
Is there a possibility that it becomes this festival and the boxing is sort of the side piece, if you will? Because the way it was sort of, I think on my radar was like, it's about 140 to see this boxing, but what I'm understanding from you is it's going to be a lot of stuff that will draw in people, and there just so happens to be boxing as well, and so you can say this many people watch the boxing.
No, because of the positioning. Boxing will be front and center, and everything will revolve around the boxing. So if you can imagine City Hall, the ring is going to be right there, right in front of City Hall. The sections are along, and we're moving all the way back to UN Plaza and the roads to the side. They're going to be huge, and you're going to be able to see the boxing, but you're going to be able to experience other things. But no, boxing is front and center. It's number one. It's the most important thing, I think, for me. Otherwise, I would have kept the name I Visit Media instead of I Visit Boxing. So we're I Visit Boxing because boxing is the most important thing to us.
Okay, so I've consumed a lot of your interviews, and one thing that I'm unclear on is, you say that it's going to be free for the vast majority of people, but there will be some tickets that will be sold. And so can you clear it up for me? Like, what is it? 5%, 10% of the tickets are to be paid for and the rest are free. And if they are free, how are you making money? Because yes, we'll get to the YouTube in a moment, but as you know, tickets do help generate revenue for an event, a promoter. I know the Times Square one was different, but it was much, much smaller. So that many people walking in for free, how do you generate money?
I think we're looking at around 50%. So just
50.
to give you, 50% will be free.
So 50% of 140 is still 70,000 people that are paying for tickets.
Absolutely. So you still got a stadium.
Oh gosh. All right. Okay. So I thought it was free for everyone.
No. I think it's, we've said free for the majority. So I think it's going to be over 50% will be free.
Okay.
There will be paid for tickets. It'll just be scaled. So in essence,
but if it's 70,000, then you're paying free. You're all the way like you're in Los Angeles watching in San Francisco, right? How are you going
to? I've been really lucky. It's a great open space to be able to build a ring, and I've been really lucky to work alongside some amazing designers and engineers that are making this work for me, rather than me sit there and tell them what to do.
Sure.
But yeah, no. The idea is that everybody has a clear view of the ring.
Okay.
You may be watching on jumbotrons. You'll be watching on repeater screens too, for sure. But it's the same as you do in a stadium. So as you can see, it's a great open space there, and it goes back even further. So we're really excited that the majority of the people will be able to see the ring and the build.
Okay, I guess if it's 51 to 49, that would be the majority, right? If it's 50%, that's half. But I understand what you're saying. Now I want to talk about the YouTube component, because I'm a big sports fan. Sports media interests me. When YouTube did a deal with the NFL, they had a football game that they aired, Chargers Chiefs, back in September from Brazil. Like, that was a big announcement. And I've seen you say YouTube. I don't see where YouTube is talking about this event. Like, so I can, this show is on YouTube right now, and I could charge for it or I could not charge for it. Anyone could put their prelims, their main card, anyone could do anything on YouTube. How is your deal different than everyone else who's putting their content on YouTube? What is the nature of this deal that you have with YouTube? Because as you say, YouTube is a massive platform, but anyone can flick that switch. Very few, the NFL being one of them. I saw this graphic on your social media. Yeah, 2.7 billion users. I get that. But, the ones on Netflix, like they have a deal with MVP. MVP is getting money from them. So is PBC from Prime, etc. What is the nature of your deal with YouTube?
I think it's really exciting. There was multiple reasons why we went with YouTube. I think the first reason you've clearly showed it there is the scale and the reach that they've got. The platform is incredible. The audience is incredible. But looking at the NFL, I think one of the things, and we were using the NFL as a guide. You're absolutely right. It's a really good point of bringing that up. It's all the added extras that we were looking at, the technology that they invested in, that they're going to put it behind our broadcast. So the live content creator watch-alongs, which doesn't happen at the moment with other boxing. The pay-per-view fights, I haven't seen anybody do pay-per-view fights on YouTube as well. So you're absolutely right.
Logan Paul, sorry to interrupt. Logan Paul and KSI was YouTube pay-per-view back in the day.
Yeah, a few years ago.
Sure.
We're not talking about now on the process, and also the fantastic agreement that we've done with them with regards to them pushing us out there and being part of that advertising and access. I think for me the great excitement of doing the deal with them was about accessing that new audience I was talking about, that new casual fan, the younger audience. And I think that has a lot to do with the content creators. That has a lot to do. I think I was really excited about A, the multi-streams that the NFL had, B, the content creator watch-alongs, C, the access to the pay-per-view. You're absolutely right. I think when you look at pay-per-view on other channel, other streamers like DAZN, I think the actual reach of the pay-per-view for YouTube is the base is a lot bigger, which means that we only have to convert a very, very small percent of this to become a huge pay-per-view buy, right? So I think it's in the intricacies of the help that YouTube are going to come in and be part of this growth strategy within the sport of boxing, but also I think within that audience base. And talking to the guys, they know that combat sports is one of their biggest growth areas within the stream, their platform. So it's about closing in on doing some more closer work with them, and we're going to be announcing that in a future press conference very soon with a little bit more information and a little bit more depth around February time. Okay,
so and so I hope you just understand where I'm coming from. Like when the Google NFL deal was announced, they announced Sunday Ticket going over there, $2 billion. I don't see. I'm trying to find the announcement where YouTube has yet to comment on this, and so I'm wondering, like, do you have a rights deal with YouTube, or are you doing like some sort of like revenue share with them? Is it a different type of deal where, again, promoters can put events on YouTube, and so I feel like it's being positioned, if I'm able to be 100% blunt, as like, we have signed a deal with YouTube. This promoter has Netflix. This promoter has DAZN. This promoter, and we have YouTube. But I don't see any indication that makes it seem like this is an exclusive rights deal in which YouTube is paying you to put your events on their platform.
No, absolutely. I get what you're saying, and I like you being blunt. For me, we're going to be announcing it, the details of everything around that time in February when we announce our first card, and that's really when you guys are going to get all the details that you want to see.
Okay.
And that's kind of.
Is it a rights deal? Are they paying you to put your events on YouTube exclusively?
We're making money together with them, and that's what we're going to announce at the beginning of around February time.
Okay. Your first event, when is that?
We're looking. Well, that's the press conference. Is going to be tied in together. Okay. We're looking around April time.
April, and that won't be an event of this scale, right? This will be like a regular arena show?
Look, one of the big reasons that we wanted to do, we're not just doing the one event, we're looking at multiple events, which will be streamed on YouTube. For us, Iconic was always the kind of the guiding principle. Two things that have always kind of driven them. Number one is the fans, bringing boxing back to the people. And number two, we wanted kind of to draw upon kind of history. And we wanted to draw upon legacy. So I think one of the biggest things that we wanted to do was looking at legacy and that history. So all the events that we do are going to have quite a big level of legacy and iconic elements. So it won't be an arena show for sure. It's not going to be in a standard arena. It's going to be iconic in one shape or form.
And who would be the promoter for that?
Again, that'll be announced. That's what we're working on right now.
But that's in 3 months. That's in 3 months. And so what I'm worried about is, like, Eddie has an exclusive deal with DAZN. I know, DAZN got paid by Netflix to allow AJ to fight there. Same with Katie Taylor. But which promoter, is going to be able to do that and give you their talent? Unless it's a Top Rank or a Golden Boy who at the moment don't have deals, is it them?
I'm not. It's very good to ask me, and it's one of the big questions that everybody's asking me.
Okay.
I think it's fair to say that time is ticking.
Yeah.
And we're fully aware that we've got to sell the tickets for it and put the show on. We're very close to agreeing a deal, and when we agree, we'll let everybody know.
True or false, Alexander Usyk, Deontay Wilder is the fight that you are targeting for this July 11th event? That seems to be the one that has been, connected to this event the most.
False. For us, I think we did have chats with the Usyk team a little while ago, quite fruitful chats with them. Nothing was agreed. We've seen everything blow up about that. It came from the fact that someone said to me, would I like having Usyk on a card? And anybody would like to have Usyk on a card, right? And that, I think, blew up that way. But no, it's not. Nothing's been confirmed yet.
Okay. And so if it were up to you, what would be the biggest fight that you could put in that main event to draw that amount of people? I've heard you say Tyson Fury against anyone, but again, Tyson Fury, Spencer Brown, Frank Warren, I just have a hard time believing that they're just going to offer him up to you. Maybe I'm naive. Tell me more. What's the dream fight?
Oh, that's a really good question. Every time I say it, I'm a fan, so I want to tell you the story. I want to tell you what I really like. But every time I say it, it blows up in the news. It blows up on socials.
This is the gift and the curse. You're in the news right now, so people are hanging on every word.
So I can't tell you what I really like, because otherwise the socials will blow up and I'll be on your show next week and you're going to say, is it real?
Yeah.
So listen, I think I'm a fan, and what I really want, most importantly, is the biggest card we can put together. And I'm gonna listen. My head is very much on that now. I know that the world is waiting. I know that the world of boxing is waiting for me to kind of deliver that news. And as soon as I do my business, believe me, I will go out there and I will tell the world. And once the promoter is done for this fight, I'm sure they're going to be side by side telling the world that we've done it. And I'm sure, and I will tell you this, that we won't have any disappointed people out there. They're going to really look forward to the cards that we put on this year.
Could I ask about Plan B? What if no promoter says, I want to work with you for whatever reason, right? And now you need to be your own promoter. Have you had the conversations with the Andy Fosters of the world, the executive director of the California State Athletic Commission, to do this on your own if you have to, or if that comes to pass, you have to completely scrap these plans?
No, I'm really glad to say that we've already got offers from promoters already.
Okay. You're not worried?
We're not. No, not at all. Not at all. I think, listen, we would not. This isn't something that we came up with last week. This is something we've been working on for the last 7-8 months, as you can imagine. So we've already had quite extensive talks with a lot of promoters, and a lot of promoters have already said that they want to do it. We're in the moment of finalizing those deals because we want the very best for the fans. So we would like to put the best cards together that we can, but I will not promote that first fight. I will not promote the July fight. That will be done by somebody else. And we have offers already on the table. And
the plan as of now is 24 events over the next 12 months, right?
Minimum of 12. I'm looking at the 12 big ones. We'd like to do 12 special ones, 12 iconic ones.
Okay.
There may be an opportunity. There is an opportunity. We've talked about this at length with YouTube at doing some more kind of next gen stuff. But at the moment, our focus very much is on those 12 big iconic fights.
And I've heard you say you really want to give back to the fans. You want it to be accessible, free, and whatnot. And I understand that. You've explained the breakdown in terms of ticket sales. Why then put it on pay-per-view on YouTube? Why not? The NFL is free on YouTube. Why have a price? What's the word? Why have it on pay-per-view? Why is there that barrier?
There will be. We've had long chats with YouTube. There will be fights that will be, and some of these iconic fights will be free. Not all of them will be pay-per-view. But I feel that when you're looking. I'm not going to sit here, and I've heard other people say this, I'm going to scrap pay-per-view, we're not going to charge anymore, and then next month the pay-per-view goes on again. Look, I'm not going to lie. Pay-per-view is, and I heard you talking about it with your previous guest, pay-per-view still is an integral part of boxing. to realistically fund the purses, you need pay-per-view. So in some of them, particularly when we're looking at the larger names, the stronger cards, we're going to need pay-per-view to be a part of it. The one thing that I will say about pay-per-view, and it's something that we, even today when talking to YouTube, it was something that we were both extremely committed to, is affordability and accessibility. So the reason why we went with YouTube was because it's accessible. The reason why we went with and then the decision together was that it would be affordable. So around the $15 mark, which is a huge price saving to what's currently out there in the market. And as a fan, I look at the fans and they're being asked to pay more and more for their pay-per-views and more weekly pay-per-view shows that you can't afford it. And I think in a way, I want to say to the fans, listen, guys, our shows are going to be once a month, give or take. And we want to make it affordable so you don't have to worry about paying to watch our shows. It's going to be really affordable. And we kind of capitalize on that huge platform that YouTube is. As you mentioned, you're on YouTube and it's a huge platform, and make it accessible for everybody at the $15 mark. And so it would be disingenuous of me to say to you, listen, we're not going to charge pay-per-view. We're going to get some, it's going to be paid for and it's going to be free. There will be some that are free. There will be big fights that are free, but the majority will be pay-per-view. And that's just the way that I see the world continue. And by the way, for boxing, I think it's the most sustainable way. What you don't want is people coming into the sport saying they're going to do this, saying they do that, run out of money, and then the sport go back to what it was before. You want to have a steady a business that makes sense financially, that builds towards the future, and that delivers stability for the fans so that they know, I may not be paying a lot of pay-per-view. It's affordable. I know the quality is always going to be good, and I know that the show's going to be good. So really kind of our vision is for the fans. It's a fan-first vision for boxing, really. And rather than come in, do some big shows, give it away for free, and then disappear in 6 months, 3 months, 2 months.
And just curious, why did you pick San Francisco? Any particular reason why you've chosen to do that big event there?
Multiple reasons. First of all, San Francisco is a city that has, at the moment, a mayor that really is investing in the city. It's investing in changing that city and sees sport and entertainment as a key driver to the reinvention of San Francisco. Second of all, and I know everybody's really keen to find out the nitty-gritty about the YouTube deal, but it's home for Google. It's a tech base, and we want to align ourselves very closely with tech. But also, it's an old fight town. Some of the biggest and best fights were there, and it has history. It has a fight history. If you go back to the beginning, you can go back to Alcatraz is a really good example. Look at the fights they did, informal fights, and then they did Army-Navy fights, which they paid for, and the fans would go to Alcatraz to watch those fights. It's an old fight town that, apart from, I have to say, there was a fight that Eddie put on there, has by and large been forgotten. So we wanted to...
Devin Haney, Regis Prograis.
Yeah, exactly. It's, by and large, there's been some big fights there too, but by and large, it's been forgotten as a fight town. But there has been some, and that Eddie fight was incredible, So at the arena, so we saw the green shoots. We know there's a fight fans there in the Bay Area. We know that there's a huge community of fight fans, and wanted to give back to them.
I'll let you go in a moment, I promise, and thank you for answering all these questions.
I'm happy to. As a fan, I'm quite like blown away. I'm sitting here talking to you.
I appreciate that.
You can keep on talking to me.
July 11th, it's a big summer in the United States. There'll be 2 quarterfinal World Cup matches that day. Are you cognizant of this, and are you trying to work around that? Will it not coincide? Because I feel like the eyes of the sporting world, especially in this country, now those events won't be in San Francisco, Miami, and Kansas City, but it still feels like a lot of attention will be on that. You're going on the same day as 2 quarterfinal matches.
Rights pending, and I say rights pending because I need to discuss this with the relevant teams. I would love to be able to, when I looked at, when I remember big events like Glastonbury, and there's in the UK, the music festival, and there's a big football match, they tend to show them on the big screens.
Okay.
A big soccer match. Right pending, I'd love to do that. So the vision is that we put those soccer matches on. I'm a big soccer fan. I even slipped up and said football.
Okay.
I'd love to have that on there, and rights pending, we'll put on the fights in the matches on big screens.
Okay. All right. So that answers that question. And so in the end, to sum up, first event, you're hoping for it to be in April. You're going to make an announcement with more details in February. After the April event, would the next one be July, or will there be one in between? Will there be a May or a June?
There will be one in between.
Okay.
One, maybe two in between. So for us to hit our 12, we're going to basically look at doing one a month or one every 6 weeks. So there will be some in between. So,
and all in America? April, America, May, America, June?
Some may be making their way to Europe.
Okay. Any fights signed? You don't have to tell me what they are, but just like as of right now, are there fights signed?
Yes, there are, or agreements for.
Okay.
Yes, there are some already planned.
All right. I think we'll leave it at that. I appreciate the time, Ed. Good luck to you and the team. It seems like a Herculean task. You seem up for the challenge. I wish you the best, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about this.
I am super excited. I know it is thank you for realizing it's a huge task. What do they say? If you aim for the stars and you hit the top of the mountain, that's really good. That's essentially what we're going to do. We're going to aim for the stars. Not to say we're going to manage it completely. I'm sure there'll be some fans they'll just find it dreadful what we did, and there'll be some fans that appreciate what we've done. But look, we're trying to do the very best for the sport and just grow the sport. Just see that there's more fans engaged with the sport. Boxing is a fabulous sport. It's got some amazing qualities that no other sport. And I always say this to finish off. I'm going to say this. Listen, many, many years ago, boxing was bigger than soccer. Boxing was bigger than football. It was the biggest sport in the planet. You'd walk around the city and anybody would know who the heavyweight champion of the world was. Unfortunately, that's not the case anymore. And I think we can get it close to that being again. We can make sure that people know who the heavyweight champion of the world is for sure. So hopefully we can get at least some way towards that.
I lied. One quick one. Do you have investors? Do you have money behind you in terms, I know about the sponsorship and whatnot, but do you have any people who are backing you at the moment?
At the moment, it's fair to say no, but look, I'm an entrepreneur. I own a very successful business in the UK. We're a big media owner in the UK. We own a lot of digital screens and look after a lot of very big clients. So we've been funding it with the revenue from that business, and that's where the investment's been coming from up to now.
Ed, I wish you the best. Thank you so much for the time. Looking forward to hearing more about this.
Definitely, Ariel. We'll keep you in touch, and thanks for your fans for all the support so far.
Appreciate it. There he is, Ed Pereira, the CEO of iVisit Media and the newly formed iVisit Boxing, with some, like I said, some lofty plans, a Herculean task to draw that many people, the deal with YouTube and whatnot. These are some big plans. And look, he seems like a very smart man. He seems like a very pleasant man to speak with. I hope he didn't think that I was poking or trying to poke too many holes. You all just know, if you've been watching us for a long time, look no further than this time last year with the GFL. We have talked to a lot of people who have been in the fight game and who have had lofty plans. I mean, we just went through this in MMA with the GFL, and boxing has certainly seen its fair share of people who have come on and said, I'm going to do this, that, and the other, and it hasn't quite worked out that way. And so I am very curious to see how this pans out, how they expect to do it, what kind of deals they have in place, what the nature of the deal is with YouTube, what the nature of the deal or deals are with the promoters, how you're going to get these promoters to give him his best fighters and put them on these events. He was on for 40 something minutes, if not more, maybe 50 or so minutes. And I still feel like I have a lot of questions that need to be answered, not because I didn't ask the questions that I wanted to ask, but just right now it seems like all those answers aren't quite there just yet. So let's see how this all plays out. A very interesting story, and I do wish him the best, and I'm very curious. I'm very, very curious to see. These types of stories are fascinating to me, certainly when it comes to the business side of the fight game. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.